Kitchen. I'm your host, Spicy.
And I'm Salty.
And today we're doing a deck tech on Arcades the Strategist.
Yes, Arcades is a 3/5 creature for 1, a green, a white, and a blue. Has flying vigilance, and whenever a creature with Defender enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. And each creature you control with Defender assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power, and can attack as though it didn't have Defender. So this is going to be basically a wall deck, is what you're going to want to do with this. And Arcades is going to be like the linchpin of it. So we need other effects that are kind of like Arcades. And we have one in High Alert, which is 1, a white, and a blue enchantment. Each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Creatures you control can attack as though they had Defender, and 2, a white, a blue, untap target creature. We also have Assault Formation for 1 and a green enchantment. Each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. For green, target creature with Defender can attack this turn as though it didn't have Defender. And for 2 and a green, creatures you control get +0/+1 until end of turn. Assault Formation's not going to be as good as High Alert in this deck because it doesn't let your defenders attack unless you pay the green, but it does come with the upside of being a pump if you need it.
And as with all good commander decks, you kind of need ramp. Everyone needs ramp. Every single deck needs ramp. So here's some of the ramp cards that we used. Selesnya Signet. It's an artifact, 2 of any color. Tap 1 of any of your lands, and then it could add green and white to it. Also, Simic Signet is the same thing. Instead of tapping for a white, it taps for a blue. Then we have a Commander Staple, which is Soul Ring. It's 1 generic mana of anything, and it taps for 2 colorless. And then we have some walls that do double duty on this one. Wall of Roots, which is 1 generic and 1 green. It's a 0/5 defender. Put a -0/-1 counter on Wall of Roots and add green to your mana pool. You can only play this ability once each turn. We have Sunscape Familiar, which it really makes things cost less. Like your green and blue spells cost less. And that's 1 for 1 and 1 white. It's a 0 Incubation Druid. For 1 and 1 green, it's a 0/2. Tap, add 1 mana of any type that a land you control could produce. If Incubation Druid has a +1/+1 counter on it, gain 3 mana of that type instead, which it has the added benefit of adapting for 3 green, adapt 3, so it's going to turn into a 3/5 creature, but you're really only going to use it for ramp. Then we have Kadama's Reach, which is a sorcery that most command players run. It's 2 and a green, it's a sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal those cards, and put one onto the battlefield tapped and the other one into your hand. Then shuffle your library. If you're really hurting on mana, you could just, instead of placing it into your hand, you just put it right onto the battlefield as your land for that turn. You have Growth Spiral. For a green and a blue, it's a sorcery. Draw a card and then play an additional land that turn. It enters tapped though. Rampant Growth for 1 and a green. Search your library for a basic land card and put that onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. And then we have some more defenders. Sylvan Caryatid, which is a 1 and 1 green, 0/3 defender hexproof. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Then we have Axebane Guardian, which is 2 and 1 green. It's a 0/3 defender. Tap, add X mana in any combination of colors to your mana pool, where X is the number of defenders you control. So if you have 6 defenders out and you want more defenders out, you just tap that, spin it as you wish.
Yeah, this thing will go really ham really quickly.
Yes. And then we have Overgrown Battlement, which is 1 and 1 green. It's a 0/4 defender. Tap, add 1 green mana to your mana pool for each defender you control. It's like Axebane, it just gives you green mana.
Yeah, it's not quite as good, but I mean, you know, that's That's like saying Gaia's Cradle isn't a good card.
Which is horrible. Vein Trellis, 1 and 1 green. It's a 0/4. Defender tap, add 1 green mana to your mana pool.
Next, we've got just our walls that are just here to be walls and hit people with. First, we have Geist of the Archives for 2 and a white, 0/4. Defender, at the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. Which, scrying is good. It filters your draws. And if, the game goes a little long, scrying will ensure that you come out on top. Tree of Redemption for 3 and a green, 0/13. Defender, and it has tap, exchange your life total with Tree of Redemption's toughness. So, this is a pretty good card. I mean, you're hitting someone with a 13/13 normally, and if you have a lot of life and exchange it, he could be hitting people with as a 40/40.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good. Glacial Wall for 2 and a blue, 0/7. Defender. Wall of Tangle Cord, 2 of any color for 0/6 Defender, and you can pay green and it gains reach until end of turn. And Wall of Frost, it's a 0/7 for 1 and 2 blue. It has Defender. Whenever Wall of Frost blocks a creature, that creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap. These walls are going to have Defender, by the way.
Yes, all of them have Defender.
All of them are going to have Defender. Next is Wall of Denial for 1, a white, a blue, 0/8. Defender, Flying, and Shroud. This is a pretty good card here, as an 8/8 Flying Shroud creature is kind of hard to deal with and can, really annoy that person trying to play their Planeswalker, especially if it's their commander or something.
Sour.
Yes. Yes. Wall of Runes for 1 blue, it's a 0/4 Defender, and when it enters, you scry 1. It's nice because if Arcades is out, you can scry before you draw, and early turns, you can get it out and help your early draws. Shield Sphere for 0, it's a 0/6 Defender, and when it blocks, put a -1 counter on it. But it's a 0-drop 6/6 in this deck.
You're rarely gonna block with it. You're just gonna swing ham.
Next is Wall of Junk, 2-drop 0/7. When it blocks, return it to its owner's hand. Once again, we're trying to hit people with a 7/7.
Mm-hmm.
Wall of Ice, 2 and a green, 0/7 Defender. Wall of Ice is a green card for some reason, but
I don't understand. It has ice.
Yeah,
in the card.
A lot of sense. Angelic Wall, 1 and a white, 0/4 Defender, and Flying.
I love my flying creatures.
Yes.
And then we move on to the draw. There's a lot of draw. We have Mentor of Meek for 2 and a white. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1. If you do, draw a card. Then you have Guardian Project, which is just a helpful enchantment in general. We play Commander. You're not going to have something that has the same creature name or type.
Yeah, it's a singleton format. So if you've got multiple creatures with the same name, there's a different problem in Guardian Project.
Yes. Guardian Project is a 3 and 1 green enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it doesn't have the same name as another creature you control, or a creature card in your graveyard, draw a card.
Like we said, that should be every creature in your deck.
Ongoing Investigation. For 1 and 1 blue, it's an enchantment. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, investigate. Which means put a Colorless Clue artifact token onto the battlefield with 2, sack this artifact, draw a card. And then, for 1 green, exile a creature card from your graveyard, investigate, and you gain 2 life.
Ulvenwald Mysteries?
What he said. 2 and a green, enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, investigate. put a colorless clue artifact token onto the battlefield with 2. Sack this artifact, draw a card. Whenever you sack a clue token, put a 1/1 white human soldier creature token onto the battlefield. Yeah. We don't really care about that. We just want the draw.
Yeah. This is just a little insurance against the board wipe so you can build your hand back up. There's a lot of draw here because all the creatures cost very little, so you can easily dump them out. And if you don't have a way to recover from a board wipe, then you're going to have a bad time.
Yes.
Doing a lot of nothing.
And then we have Beast Whisper, one of my favorite cards. It's 2 and 2 green. It's a 2/3. When you cast a creature spell, draw a card. Any type of creature.
Yep, any creature.
And then we have Caravan Carotid. For 1 and 2 greens, it's a 2/5 defender. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. So onto Wall of Blossoms. It's a 1 and 1 green for 0/4. Defender, it enters the battlefield, draw a card. The next 2 cards are the same, well, except for Wall of Mulch.
So the next card is the same.
So the one after that is the same. If you have Arcades out, you get double the draw, and if you have Arcades and Beast Whisperer out, you get 3 cards.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Wall of Mulch is a 1 and 1 green for 0/4. Defender, tap a green, sack a wall, and draw a card. You can do this in response to somebody targeting one of your creatures.
Yeah, or just a big board wipe.
Yeah, I'm gonna tap a green and sack all these ones.
Yeah.
And then draw that many cards. And then you have Jungle Barrier, which is a 2 green, blue. It's a 2/6, and when it comes in, it draws a card.
Yep. We got a lot of these draw effects because, like I said, when you play this deck, you'll realize how quickly you can dump a hand out. And if you're not prepared for the eventual board wipe that someone is going to play, you'll be sitting around doing a lot of nothing.
Also, sorry about the squeaky toy in the background. I have 4 dogs. It's one of them right now, and he's going to squeak until his little heart is content. So, if you see random cuts, it's because a dog started squeaking toys. Or we're just incapable
Alright.
of sitting still for far too long.
Next we got the how we're gonna win with this deck with our pump spells. First off, we've got Tower Defense. 1 and a green, instant. All your creatures get +0/+5 until end of turn. This is a blowout. For 2, you're basically giving all your creatures +5/+5. Any aggro deck would love this card, but this is the deck that can do it.
Yes, and the look on their faces when they declare no blockers and you drop that,
yeah,
they're done.
When they think they can survive, and then they realize that they're getting hit for a whole lot more.
Oh, yes.
You can just wipe out a table with this. Next, we've got Solidarity. For 3 and a white instant, it does the same thing as Tower Defense. Creatures you control get +0/+5 until end of turn. It costs 2 more, but I mean, when you're playing it, it probably doesn't matter. Next, we've got Bar the Door. For 2 and a white instant, creatures you control get +0/+4 until end of turn.
Sorry, people, that's a boiler.
Next, we have Sight of the Scare Lords. For 4, a green enchantment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, creatures you control with toughness 4 or greater get +2/+2 and gain vigilance until end of turn. This should be pretty much all this should going to be your walls are going to do this.
Yeah, it's very important in this deck.
Yeah, and it gives them all vigilance. So you can feel to swing out and not die from the crackback. Next we have Stalwart Shield Bearers. For 1 and a white, it's a 0/3 defender, and all your other defenders get +0/+2. Just a nice little pump spell on a guy you would be swinging with anyway.
Yep.
And finally we have a little bit of evasion here. In Tetsuko Umezawa Fugitive. 1 and a blue, 1/3. Creatures you control with power or toughness 1 or less can't be blocked. Your walls have 0 power for almost all of them. So you're basically saying, here comes some 7/7s and 6/6s that you can't block. Have fun with that.
Yeah. And now we move on to the removal. We have some targeted, and then we have board. First, we're going to tackle the targeted. Beast Within, it's a 2, a green, it's an instant. Destroy target permanent, its controller gets a 3/3 green beast creature token. A commander, you don't care about giving him things.
Yes, the 3/3 green beast token is probably not relevant, especially with your big old walls. But the fact that it just can destroy any target permanent is great. The flexibility on it is great, and it's a great way not to lose to someone's sudden combo.
Yes, like somebody has a pesky planeswalker. Oh, well, I'm gonna take care of that.
Yeah, planeswalker gone. Annoying land gone. Anything that's just in your way gone.
Then we have Swords to Plowshares, which is just 1 white. Exile target creature controller. Its controller gains life equal to its power.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a setback, but once you're exiling one giant creature, you're like, all right.
Once again, a commander giving them a little bit of life is not as important as getting rid of that creature that they need, and it's an exile effect, so indestructible doesn't matter.
Okay, next we got a dual card, which is Incubation and Incongruity. Its Incubation is a hybrid, green or blue. It's look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest up to the bottom of your library in any order. That part we're not going to really focus on too much because we're going to be drawing and getting creatures out. What we're going to be focusing on is Incongruity, which is 1 green and a blue. Exile target creature. That's controller creates a 3/3 green frog lizard creature token. Again, we're not worried about giving them a 3/3 green frog lizard.
No. We want to get rid of a pesky creature.
Yes.
And every so often, incubation might come up. So it is that flexibility. In your opening hand, you might have a really good hand, but not enough creatures. Incubation can take care of that for you.
Return to Nature is 1 and a green. It's an instant. Choose one. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or exile target card from a graveyard. If you don't want them to get their combo off and their combo piece is currently sitting in the graveyard, exile it.
Yep. When they play their some kind of thing to get their card back from the graveyard, you can say, nope, guess you wasted it.
Mm-hmm. And then we got Naturalize, which is similar to Return to Nature, except it only targets artifacts and enchantments. It's the same cost.
Yeah.
1 green.
It's
One and a green.
It's the same thing. It's just not quite as good because it can't hit a card in the graveyard, but it's very cost efficient.
Yes. Sylvan Reclamation is 3 white and a green. It's an instant. Exile up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. And then it has the added benefit of basic land cycling. For 2, discard this card, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. If you have that much land to cast this, kind of really not hurting too much on land.
Yeah.
What we're focusing on is the exile target artifacts and enchantments.
Yeah.
Let's say if somebody has a blasting station out and you know they're going to do something terrible, you want to exile the blasting station.
Yes. Exiling people's important cards can really set them back, especially if they run a lot of ways to recur stuff.
Sour does it often.
When you absolutely positively want something to be gone, exile it. And it does have the benefit of land cycling. This is a 3-color deck. There might be times where you don't have that 3rd land you need. And this says, yes, you do.
Then you got Prison Realm, which is 2 and a white enchantment. When Prison Realm enters the battlefield, exile target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls until Prison Realm leaves the battlefield. When it enters the battlefield, you can scry 1, which is great.
Once again, it's a little bit of flexibility, and it gives you a scry.
And then we got Imprisoned on the Moon, which is one of my favorite cards. It's 2 and a blue. It's an enchantment. Aura. Enchant creature, land, or planeswalker. An enchanted permanent is a color land with tap add colorless to your mana pool and loses all other card types and abilities. It's a great way to just...
Yeah.
Oh, you're playing Lord Windgrace? No.
Yeah. It just can hose somebody's commander. If their deck is built around it, like Lord Windgrace, like she said, or any number of other things, you just no. Your commander is now useless until this card goes away, and most people will probably allow that thing to stay gone.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to spend your own spell to get rid of Imprisoned in the Moon.
And then we're moving on to the board wipe section.
Alright, for our board wipes, we have Solar Tide for 4 and 2 white, sorcery. Choose one. Destroy all creatures with power 2 or less, or destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater. It also has Entwine. Sacrifice 2 lands. Choose both if you pay the Entwine cost. Most likely, you're just going to pick Destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater, because that's going to be all not your creatures.
Minus Arcades.
Yes.
Which you can easily put him back, or if you have one of the protections that we're going to get to, you could just sack it, blink it, and put it back.
There's ways to get around it. Most likely, this is, if someone has a crazy board or something, you can get rid of all that and keep your walls. Next is Wave of Reckoning. For 4 and a white sorcery, each creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. Most of your walls are going to just do 0 damage to themselves. They're all not going to kill themselves. This has the added benefit of Arcades is also not going to kill themselves. But most decks have a lot of creatures whose power is either equal to its toughness or greater than its toughness.
And the look on their faces when you throw this out is hysterical.
Yes. One-sided board wipes are great.
Yes.
Next we have Dusk Till Dawn. 2 and 2 white for Dusk. Destroy all creatures with power greater or equal to 3. And then it has Dawn. For 3 and 2 white, also a sorcery. Aftermath. Cast this spell only from your graveyard, then exile it. Return all creature cards with power less than or equal to 2 from your graveyard to your hand. So once again, it's another one-sided board wipe, with the added benefit of Dawn being able to get back all your creatures in case they were board wiped by an opponent. Next we've got Slaughter the Strong. For 1 and 2 white sorcery, each player chooses any number of creatures with total power 4 or less, and then sacrifices the rest. So once again, most of your walls have 0 power. You can just pick them all, and then Arcades has 3, pick him. And this is once again going to be mostly one-sided.
Yep.
Your opponents, of course, are probably going to keep something, but they're not going to keep nearly the amount that you are.
Oh yes, and then you'll swing in the next turn. Alright. The protection spells. We have some blink effects here.
Yep.
Eerie Interlude is one of my favorite ones. It's 2 and a white. It's an instant. And somebody's going to go board wipe you. Oh no, here. Exile any number of target creatures you control. Return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. When this hits, and you have Arcades that you blinked out with a whole mess of walls,
Yep.
You're going to get a whole mess of draw from that.
Oh yeah. It's really funny when they try and board wipe you and you end up better off than you were before.
Oh yeah. And then you got Swiftfoot Boots. For 2 of any color, equipped creature has hexproof and haste, and then equip cost is 1. So if you have Arcades out and you had some extra mana and you just equip it and he's ready to go.
You're pretty much going to just put this on Arcades to keep him out.
Yep. And then you got Jeskai Barricade. For 1 and 1 white, it's a 0/4 flash. Defender. When it enters the battlefield, you may return another target creature you control to its owner's hand. They want a board wipe, you have this in your hand. You want to return Arcades, so that way you can skip out on the commander tax.
Yep, it's a good way to get out of it, because, commander tax can get, taxing.
Yes.
Or,
says my sliver.
Or maybe you want to get some other, utility creature and protect it. It's just good stuff. It's also, a wall that can attack.
Then we have Resolute Watchdog. For 1 and 1 white, it's a 1/3 defender. You pay 1, sack him. Target creature gains indestructible until end of turn. Again, probably going to target Arcades.
Yep.
And then we got Unbreakable Formation. For 2 and a white, it's an instant. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. And then there's an addendum, which is if you cast a spell during your main phase, put a +1/+1 counter on each of those creatures, and they gain vigilance until end of turn. 9 times out of 10, you're just gonna wait till somebody tries to do a board wipe and flash that in.
Yep. Once again, one-sided board wipes can really turn the game over. But every so often, you might want to get that little bit of extra damage in, or just give your creatures vigilance for some reason. Next, we've got some counter spells. We've got Dovin's Veto for a white and a blue instant. This spell can't be countered, and you can counter target non-creature spell. It's, depends on your meta, but if you got blue players that like to counter your stuff, Dovin's Veto can make sure that you can counter the thing that needs to be countered. Because it's real feel bad when your counter spell gets countered.
Oh yeah, we've all been there. Counter upon counter and upon counter.
Yes. Next we've got the aptly named counter spell. For 2 blue instant, counter target spell. What its name is what it does.
Yep.
Next we've got Dissipate. For 1 and 2 blue, counter target spell. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it in the owner's graveyard. So, it's, once again, you're just making sure that people can't recur their stuff, or getting rid of a combo piece for good. Fairy Trickery, it's 1 and 2 blue, instant, counter target non-fairy spell. And it also has, if it's countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. So it's basically another Dissipate. You're not really going to run into people playing fairy spells like that.
Oh no. And I think the only one that probably you're gonna see, if that, is Bitter Blossom.
Yeah.
But we have other things to counter.
Yeah. Most of the time you're just going to want to counter something that's not a fairy spell.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of those.
Okay, and now we move on to the Planeswalkers. I have a thing with saying Teo with a bunch of O's at the end, but Teo the Shield Mage is a Planeswalker for 2 white. He comes in with 5 loyalty. You have Hexproof. It's -2. Create a 0/3 wall token with Defender. With you can't really get the draw much from Beast Whisperer because you have to cast it.
Yeah.
But with Arcades, you instantly draw a card from it.
Yeah, you'll get the draw. And, you have Hexproof. There's not, a whole lot of things in Commander that target specific players, but the ones that do, you generally don't want targeting you.
Yes.
And I know it's killing you inside, so go ahead and...
Teo!
There you go.
And then we have a Johnny the Great-Hearted Planeswalker. For 2, a green and a white, comes in with 5 loyalty. Its static ability is creatures you control have vigilance. Its +1 is gain 3 life. Its -2 is put +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and a loyalty counter on each Planeswalker you control. So let's say if you want to keep using Teo and you have a Johnny out, I just want to suggest using its -2 very often, because then your one-sided board wipes will hit you too.
Yeah, be careful on those. But, once or twice you'll probably be fine.
Yeah.
But the main thing is it gives your creatures vigilance, so you're just that much more annoying. Yes,
and then we have a graveyard hate card, which is Tormod's Crypt. It's a 0/0 artifact. Tap, sack Tormod's Crypt, exile all cards from target player's graveyard. I would say hold on to this card a little longer, just in case there's a player that's playing graveyard hate, and you're just I'm gonna wait till your graveyard gets nice and meaty. Play it, exile all the cards.
Yeah. Or you could just have it out there, just to antagonize them, to kind of make you, they'll try and make you waste it, but if they don't have really good plays, then they might just not play anything, and that's just as good.
Yep. And then we have Wilderness Reclamation for 3 and a green. It's an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, untap all lands you control. It's great to hold up mana, but this is a great way to just, okay, I used all this mana, Now I get to untap it, and now I can counter things or blink my stuff.
Yeah, basically, you just so you can play out, your hand and then still have some mana left open to protect yourself. Next we have our lands. We're going to be running Command Tower. Tap to add 1 mana of any color. Yeah, and it's not an expensive card. They've printed it a bunch, and it's probably one of the best lands you can play in any multicolor deck. Next we have Seaside Citadel. It enters tapped, but it can tap for a blue, a white, and a green. So it's just a nice tri-land that gets you all the colors you can need. Next we have Woodland Streams, enters taps, and taps for a green or a blue. Azorius Guildgate, enters tapped, taps for a white or a blue. Tranquil Expanse, enters taps, taps for a green or a white. Simic Guildgate, enters tapped, taps for a blue or a green. Meandering River, enters taps, taps for a white or a blue. And got a couple bounce lands here.
Yeah, we have Azorius Chancery, which enters tapped. You have to return a land to your hand, but upside is it taps for both white and blue. And then we have Simic Growth Chamber, which does the same thing, except it taps for blue and a green. And then we broke it down to 24 basic lands, which is 7 plains, 10 forests, and 7 islands. Well, there's our deck tech. The actual link will be in the description. Thank you for tuning in.
Have a great one.